Greetings, architects. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Tribe of the Sky. Episode 7. Planning Gangplanks. Quantum, you need research, and it looks like heavy bridges are the happy choice. So the heavy bridges are definitely like a spacer thing to make building in space like awesome. And I know this opens up my my farm, my Nutrifungus farm to light, but we'll have the walls built before the caps die. Maybe. I mean, Ty took a break. There we go. Cool. So this entire farm can hold power cables. And be repaired, and not be ugly, and a lot of other things. Ooh, we're getting hops! Before I start planning more hops, I am going to pivot, because I don't have the ability yet to make the brewery, so I'm going to plant fiber corn here in temporarily. I'm going to still call it hops, and I'm just going to harvest all the rest of the hops because they're like grown enough. But the reason I'm putting fiber corn in there is I don't have enough wood for the brewery, and putting fiber corn in there is going to help with that a bit, I think, because it will grow fast. Well, no, maybe not. I don't know. Is there anything I would want in there? Maybe cotton? I'm gonna call it cotton too. The reason for the cotton is I wouldn't mind, you know, like getting furniture and clothing. Eventually our stuff is gonna wear out, and cotton is nice. But yeah, we'll stick with heavy bridges. That's our next research project. Cactus for non-tree wood? That's an interesting thought. I'm not 100% sure. Does tree cut affect that? I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think so. Because I would really not want to grow cactus. It says it's not a tree, though it's not a tree. Okay, yeah, let's try that. I like that as an idea. I just, fingers crossed, it's not gonna bite me in the butt. Cactus. Cactus in space. You've seen it here first. Yeah, it's a really, really fine idea. So thank you, Scandia, for that idea. That should help with our wood needs. Much more than fibercorn, because fibercorn grows so slow. Mech hive signal. Okay, don't care. I like how it's a signal that I don't even... There's like... Yeah, it's like, cool. There's a mech hive somewhere. It's not applicable to me. What's a mech hive? What's a mech? I don't know. We have these suits that protect us from space, and that's... Oh, boy. Really? Oh, an eclipse. Duh. We don't really have an eclipse-proof base. Luckily, during eclipse, I can just turn off the grow light. Again, this is another reason I have ChemGen and not solely rely on solar, so that during eclipses, it's not like, haha, you're dead. You done run out of power and rippy. So, yeah. We have some protection there. Alright. Ty. We still are working on the entry corridor. And the thing to do here is to, A, wait for heavy bridges to be done, B, to amass some steel so that we can build the heavy bridges, because heavy bridges cost a lot of steel. And then also to amass steel for the deadfall traps, but also remove all the chunks out of the entry hallway. Now, given that we have combat shotguns, I might have wanted to incorporate a twist at the end of this entryway so that path down and around, because we have combat shotguns, and like if enemies have long-range weapons, we can't really like defend the corridor as easily, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is now. So we'll build the rest of the spikes and mine up some steel. And there's a lot of steel around here to mine because we found 2 nodes. And maybe in the process of mining the steel, we'll find uranium. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't think that, like, Colony Wealth of 41k is going to experience a raid that, like, our 11 traps can't solve. So we'll probably be okay. For now. That looks so funny. I love it. We might want a styling station soon. Not a wooden one. Jesus, not a wooden one. So that we can use the Victoria dyes. Why aren't the hops being... Where the... Oh, this isn't critical? Yeah, that would be it. I was wondering where the hops was on the hop shelf. How many batteries would be needed to last a whole day offsetting the grow light on their own? Ooh, good question. I don't know off the top of my head. Watt hours are kind of hard to, like, math in my head without doing some honest calculation, which would draw my attention away from the stream, so I don't think I'm going to try to calculate that. I'm going to go with more than 1, as I think that's probably true. I mean, the grow hours for plants is not even 24 hours, it's like 18 or whatever. Yeah, like 4. I like that answer. Approximately 4 is probably a good calculation. But keeping the sun lamp off for like a partial day is way cheaper. All right, prepare a while. 2 of them. Got it. Landing to the south. We've got a Balti and a Combat. Combat also has Fire Foam Pop. You've got quite the green beard, dude. Wow. You look awesome. And they're both baseliners, and one's 19 and one is 28. Okie dokie. We're almost done with heavy bridges. What do we want to research after heavy bridges will be up to you. Double Strain, Complex Clothing, Microelectronics, Advanced Lights, I think are the most logical next choices. Long Blades wouldn't be inconceivable. I just don't know. I mean, we could try to get... well, I'll put it this way. With every single person showing up to our doorstep having a decent amount of sharp armor, because the bare minimum requirement to come here is a vac suit, which gives sharp, it might make sense to not bother with sharp weapons for Ty. It might make sense to just basically only do breach axes or warhammers or something, maces, etc. If we're ever gonna brawl. Because, yeah, I think everyone that shows up is going to have decent sharp. Alright, just because I don't think they're making it in doesn't mean I shouldn't show up. Splat. Ooh, bad luck. Got bad luck. Splat. 2 more suits. Oh, you just wasted another trap? Wait! I stripped you. Wait, what? Oh, there was 3? Hold on. I did not count 3. There was a whole nother enemy I was not aware of. Well, whatever. Splat. No, 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 no. Ty, don't do that. You're not going to want to see that. JD is doing something that you can't unsee, so go away, please. That's a nice shotgun. Oh, it's bio-coated. Screw you, dude. Of course it is. I was like, ooh, it's good. And it's never to be used by me. Alright, complex clothing will be next research. And then one of the other advantages of putting the doors out here, as you might see, is this won't decay. I can take my time hauling this stuff now. Because it's inside. So, new zone. No corpses. And I'm going to invert this and restrict Ty to no corpses. So, JD can go everywhere, Ty can go where there aren't corpses, and Quantum can only stay inside. I wish I found more components, because another thing that I was considering to do is to get a machining table. The thing is, there's a risk if I use up too many components before I get a before I get fabrication bench, because fabrication benches will allow you to make components, but you can't get a fabrication bench until you get advanced components for the microanalyzer. So it's like chicken and the egg. And I think our best shot at getting advanced components is to get an orbital trade beacon, which is to get microelectronics. Before you rebuild these, I do want them rebuilt, but I want the stuff hauled off of them. And I also think that it would be a very wise thing for us to start to get a smelter to deal with some of the buildup of stuff, because we're getting a lot of stuff, and that stuff is going to cause. Yo, what the hell? That stuff is going to cause a lot of wealth buildup if we don't manage it wisely. Is uranium mace still the best melee weapon? The one that you can make, yes. Zeus Hammer, like a Persona Zeus Hammer, would obviously far surpass any other blunt weapon. Like a legendary Persona Zeus Hammer is insanely good, but, you know, you can't make them. And then regular Zeus Hammers you can't make either. And then as far as weapons go, Warhammers have a melee damage, like a basic steel of, let's call it almost 7. And then maces are slightly higher. So this has an armor pen of greater than 7 at 21. And so it depends on whether you want to do damage or armor pen. Warhammers would be better for the armor pen, and then maces would be better for the base damage, so it really depends on your target. But I would say probably getting Ty a Warhammer is going to be the smartest play, because being able to overdamage blunt is probably more useful than doing more regular damage. But yeah, you can make the argument one or the other. Then there's also, if you want to incapacitate, that's an entirely different matter. If you just want to straight up incapacitate your enemies, then you're probably talking doing, you know, blunt damage that isn't fatal, which would be like a jade club or something like that. Hell, a wooden club is probably the best lethal incapacitation, or fists, but like it really depends on how, you know, ridiculous you want to get. So now that we have the heavy bridges are going to allow us to build out in space, and I can really build to the map edge here if I want. How much steel was that though? 1,000? That's like not unreasonable for a bridge like this. So the idea here is if we really want to min-max our defenses, a turret's accuracy ideal is, let's call it close, which is cells, 3 cells or less, right? But mini turrets aren't going to be our only defense. Eventually we'll get autocannon turrets, I think, because they're far more stopping power and armor pen than mini turrets. I think autocannon turrets are probably the best defense that we're going to have, given their fire rate, damage, and armor pen. And that has an ideal range of 12 or less up to maybe 25. So the reason I'm calculating this is, let's say we have an entryway here. This is map edge. Let's say we have an entryway into our base. We're going to want to keep the turrets being able to fire at the enemies at like ideal range, right? So that they can get killed. The other thing that we could potentially do for human-like raiders is build fire traps, which are going to be even cheaper to reset than turret-based weapons. So a question I have for you is, should I consider fire mazes for defense? Because if we consider fire mazes for defense, they're actually rather easy to build. We just need fuel, and I can easily make an insane amount of hay grass, right? Like if I put a grow light in here and grow hay grass, we'll have hay grass for like decades. And the advantage of fire-based defenses is for human raiders, we can just set them on fire and let them burn. And that solves 2 problems. 1, steel is a limited resource, but hay grass is not. And 2, wealth is a problem, but if you burn the corpses, it's not a problem. So if we consider fire mazes, I can have an alternative path into the base that is for humans only, that we can toggle, you know, at an entryway gate, and have the human mazes, the human attackers take the flaming path. But if you don't want to incorporate that, I could have a heavy bridge and set up the heavy bridge so that our turrets can fire on the attackers at a roughly ideal distance of, let's say, 10 or 12 cells, and have the enemies not be able to respond in turn. And yeah, to answer your question, wasn't fire non-viable due to the vac suits? So 2 things. 1, heat and fire are very different. Vac suits don't make you so if you take a look at the vac suit stats here, it doesn't change your flammability, like your armor heat. It doesn't make you inflammable. And then it doesn't give you a ton of heat insulation either. So vac suits negate mostly just hypothermia traps, which they're very hard to set up anyway. I'll give you 1 more minute to vote on this. I can see you guys are really on the fence whether I try to set up a fire maze or not. But I think what I want to do is I want to move the junk that's outside inside, because the current entry maze is like choked full of crap. So I'm going to high priority JD and Ty. The next thing I'm going to research here, I'm just going to pick for myself, is going to be microelectronics. I think we need an orbital trade beacon at the comms console sooner than later, because we are not going to progress without them. We're basically stuck at pre-industrial age, never to enter the spacer age, never to get transport pods without the ability to talk to others. Also reminds me of one more shelf I intended to place here. I don't know why it reminded me, but... This one was due for herbal medicine. So meals and herbal medicine closest to the door. Herbal medicine closest to the door for obvious medical reasons. Alright, we're going to say no fire mazes. So we are going to set up a an entryway that is for turrets only. And the other thing I wanted to do is to potentially have a third forking path with different doors. And the reason for the third forking path is so that if we don't want to use our deadfall traps, we can tell the enemies not to take that route. But I'm going to leave high priority hauling on for a little bit longer. Well, actually, not on JD. JD, I want you farming. There's some unsown that could be sown. For the brewery, we needed like 10 wood. So I don't know what the current... I think I'm going to wait for the cactus to grow a little bit more. Because it says I could chop wood now, but like I feel like if I did that, I would get like almost no wood at all. So I'll just have Ty haul the loot away. So one of the reasons why I haven't removed these doors is if I remove these doors, I have a single wall between me and space. Right? So these doors are keeping the vacuum in. I'm sort of curious if I double walled this up like this. I think it would get too hot. But if I double walled some of it, if I managed to double wall like here, that's technically double walled. I'm curious if that would prevent me from vacuuming out to space. That's ugly as sin, but it realistically would work. I'm a little worried that it wouldn't. But what I could do is I could be ready to close up my farms. I could put doors on them as a stress test and put Quantum in a suit and see if it works, rather than have to like rely on save scumming, because I haven't saved scum yet, and I'd rather not. Always my goal is to never have to. Ooh, we're getting our first cotton. The other advantage of cotton is it will give us poker and billiards if we want it, as a higher impact recreation, maybe. Ty is not doing a very good job of hauling away that that armor. I think probably because we're doing steel first. Mood check. Can't believe we get 15 mood from food. Oh, a sky party. Or a campfire. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be building a campfire, sorry. Not today. Ain't got the wood, dude. So one of the reasons why I have Ty doing the hauling here is Ty can't trip. Well, Ty won't likely trip traps, whereas the others could. So this work is safer for Ty to do. I could add in... If we're going to rely more on these deadfalls, I could add in service doors everywhere so we step on fewer traps, but I think Ty's chance to trip traps are low enough that it's reasonable not to set it up like that. And finally, some of the tainted gear is getting destroyed, which is nice. I was also thinking, and I don't really have enough components for it, but I was also considering if I found more compacted machinery to set up a second grow light here. So the absence of, so that we can make productive use of that soil. Because right now it's not doing anything. I'm also going to set this up like this. I'm going to unlink these. I'm going to set one up for suits and one up for helmets, so it's less annoying to put them on. So this will be suits. This will be helmets. This will be suits for tainted. And this will be helmets for tainted. Oh, that was linked. Alright, helmets for tainted and suits for tainted. There we go. Should make my life a little bit easier. Did I do it wrong? What'd you just do there? Clean. Vac suit. You hold it over... whatever. I'm not gonna bother trying to troubleshoot that. Can't believe we're still working on the corridor. Ty, you really just need to haul, bud. This is so slow. Cacti are really coming along? Yeah, they're up to 45% as the highest. Yep. Not bad at all. And we're also sitting on 200 cotton. Not bad at all. There we go. That's some organization that I wanted. And then once this is done, I'll also test the changing these doors to see if we can't, if we're vacuum sealed the way this is. It's kind of hard to visualize vacuum sealing, but if we have two doors here... Oh, well that corridor... Yeah, I'll try it. I'll just make sure that Quantum's wearing a suit when he does it. Pretty soon, I think we're going to need a storage room. Not to say that you have to vote on that as the next construction project, but that's getting a little crowded. Some of this stuff can just, like, burn. Especially the bio-coded crap, because God knows I don't need it. But it would be great to get transport pods once we have the requisite tech and, like, send the unwanted stuff to potential allies. That would be perfect. Where's Ty? Going for a walk. They should paint the asteroid surface white and have it crash back into the planet. I like the albedo decision, the idea, but I don't think so. No. You would need to floor it up first because you can't paint raw rock. I guess you could smooth it and then paint it. It's weird that you can paint smooth stone, but you can't paint raw stone. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I don't see why you can't just like dump paint on raw stone. That'd be neat. Would not be worth making a mod for though. I don't think. Alright, so we're almost done hauling the crap out of the air. Wow, I gotta say, the amount of crap that we have to haul as a result of killing people is a lot. Getting a crematorium might be a wise idea at some point soon. Alright, we'll reset the traps, and then I'll start working on the heavy bridge. Quest fee, I don't care. So it's going to be a little weird to make the heavy bridge, and not have turrets to adorn the heavy bridge, but we'll find the turrets once we start digging a little bit more of the mountain. Or asteroid, whatever it is. And so that people don't consistently track in blood into our base, I'll clean it up. Oh, we got a work drive. Well, don't use it yet, because you'll get vacuum damage. Might as well put the electric line down. Yeah, I will. So mining this stuff won't cause any vac problems because I have double walls everywhere else, and I'm replacing this with regular stone so I can run lines in there. Maybe. Let's reduce the high priority haul. And this is going to become just a regular door so that we can refuse access to our base if we want. But normally it'll be left open. Mr. Quantum. Wear a helmet. Wear a suit. Because we're about to vac test. Actually, before we do that, I will waste some vac stone by enclosing... Actually, you know what? Our farms are single-walled, so I'll have a great old plant death if I calculate this wrong. So thinking about this, if I remove these doors, we have this corridor with only one door exposed to vacuum, right? And these are double walled. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Because realistically, the only thing exposed to vacuum right now is that one door. I think it's fine to remove these doors. Don't quote me. We're about to learn if I'm wrong. More hops. Oh boy, all the more reason to get brewing going. We have a pretty sizable... I'm going to try to cut down one tree early. You got 10 wood! Oh, that's exactly what I needed. Woo! Alright, we're in business. And it didn't, like, ruin your mood? Did not ruin your mood. Good. As I thought it wouldn't. We were 10 wood off from having a brewery. So getting that 10 wood off the first cactus is pretty awesome. I can leave the rest of the cactus unharassed. And now we can start brewing. Space beer! Okay, here we go. VAT calculations, we're fine. I was right. It's no problem. So we have a much longer entryway tunnel. I've got double doors down here for unnecessary levels of redundancy. We've got 11 traps, and I'm going to update the vac safe zone to be here. Yeah, I have the barrel. I have a barrel. But yeah, I have a barrel already. Okay, Ty, your job now. I don't think we necessarily need... So in terms of distance, sniper rifles are a distance of 45.9. Is that right? Precision rifling, sniper rifle. 45. Technically, that's 44.9. So I think in terms of a bridge, my plan is to have this go... Oh, come on, plan. What, I can't plan anymore? What the hell? Okay, that was weird. I really only need this far, and here's the reason. When the enemies come around this bridge, if they have a valid target, they will stop to shoot at it, which, if I play my cards right, I can work in my favor, because it will cause, like, a traffic jam, right? So if we have a bridge out like this, that comes like this, and they don't have a line of sight on my turrets, so, like, let's imagine, alright, the gray will be the walkway, right? I'm gonna want a space of about 12 tiles between the turrets, because that's roughly their ideal accuracy for mini turrets. So again, just to check our math, mini turrets like to be somewhere between short and close. Short's better than close. And then autocannon turrets like to be more short than close. So what we want is we want autocannon turrets built at roughly their ideal range, which is roughly 12 tiles away. Because the cost of the building doesn't really change, putting turrets at about 13-ish is going to be ideal. So the idea for our defenses is something like this, where we have a heavy path here and a heavy path here. Something like this. And I'm gonna, it's a little rough to be redundant, but I'm gonna do redundant anyway. The purpose of the redundant is so that they can path around it and it will cause less friction. And it's gonna be something like this, where we wall off our internal path. And our internal path here, this one in red, has the turrets. And so the enemies come pathing around here, and this whole thing, this whole red has like a back wall, which blocks line of sight. So this is expensive. This is quite expensive. But it has a wall that blocks line of sight. So the raiders can't see as they walk in here. They walk in here, they'll all of a sudden be able to see turrets, and they stop. And the purpose of the stopping is so that I can take sniper rifles and shoot at them at max sniper rifle range, where I'm pretty safe. I'm not likely to be targeted by raiders from 45 tiles away, so that JD can grab a sniper rifle, improve his mood, and murder people. Murder them there, and then cause a physical backup, because all of a sudden you have a bunch of guys shooting. They're not progressing up the path. That's at least the concept. I don't think it's going to work perfectly, but like that's at least the theory. So it doesn't really matter, like, it doesn't need to be perfect. Basically, the idea here is, and we could have it like zigzag and swerve, but I don't think that's necessary, honestly. My greater point is, right now, I'm going to work on half of this, which is this part. And I think in this section, we should have a line of sight breaker. So they can't see all the way in. Where, that's not how... Well, yeah, that will work for line of sight. For line of sight breaking, it would be... God, it's hard to visualize this. It would be walls here, so path like this. Yeah. So, like, these are walls. And then these here go flush with the walls, so that the only two vision into the base is, like, here. Or better yet, more like this. So they can't see past this point. And then they come in and they get shot. Oh, actually, it would be better if it was like this. So it's like, surprise, turrets! You know, and this will be cheaper. That makes sense? So we have a line of sight blocker, they come in, they get shot by turrets. It's a little hard to visualize until it's built, but it does require heavy bridges to be built in these spots. And then the distance from turrets to raiders is about 15, which is not perfect for mini turrets, but mini turrets isn't going to be the majority of my damage. It's more designed for heavy turrets. So we'll have, you know, it will be like this, where we have barricades with autocannon. It needs to be a little wider. Barricades with autocannon turrets and mini turrets here. And for the very start, it's just going to be a single strip of mini turrets because it's cheaper, but eventually it will grow to something greater. All right, Ty. Oh, whoops. Don't actually want that. It's going to take a while because we have to build one bridge at a time. Now, the advantage of these bridges is they're indestructible, which is nice. And then, you know, we can effectively be protected from enemies as a result. And if I want to build this faster, obviously putting a stockpile of steel out here would help. And because I'm building it on both sides, we can work our way to the middle. Yeah, rip Dan. Sorry, Lieutenant Dan, but you're not being saved today. And heavy bridges only can be made of steel, so there's no alternative. You know, if you're wondering, why aren't you using your Vaxstone? I can't. It's not a valid material for the bridge. But I do have 2,400 steel, so... And there's more steel in the... And there's also, like, all the slag chunks that I've been getting, so and weapons I can smelt. So there's a lot of other sources of steel that I could grab. Speaking of which, it wouldn't be a terrible idea at this point to get said smelter and to smelt down some of the guns I don't want, get rid of the clothing I don't want, get rid of the tainted armor that I don't really need because we have enough not tainted armor that keeping tainted armor doesn't make sense. And then Quantum, you can just straight up take off your suit. We did not vacuum out the base. My math was correct, and you are fine. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Tribe of the Sky, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow tribe members.